vegan diet, and why is a vegan diet actually better than any traditional diet to stay fit and healthy. I'll give you some small background about myself before we start. So my name is Ramesh Hirani. The first thing I want to explain to you all is I'm not a doctor, right, or a nutritionist. I'm actually a property developer that works in East Africa, and I got into doing nutrition about 4 years ago when I developed a disease, diabetes. Some of you have heard of that, or you may know of somebody who has it. Some of you may even have diabetes. I decided, when I was diagnosed, I decided instead of taking the traditional route of medication, I wanted to find out what had caused this disease and see if I could reverse it in a natural way. And that is when I embarked on this whole plant-based diet. Yeah. So we talk about veganism, but there is many unhealthy vegans out there, and there are many unfit, unhealthy vegans out there. So veganism in itself is not the answer. The real answer is being whole plant-based, which means we eat foods in their entirety, which I'll go on to as we go through the presentation. When I was diagnosed, one of the thoughts that came to me 4 years ago was, how did I get this disease, diabetes? What was it that caused this disease? Because like many diseases, like heart disease, arthritis, blood pressure, thyroid, all of the diseases, you don't catch them off somebody else. It's not an infection. They're not passed around. All of these diseases are things that we manifest and our bodies create. And they create them because of the conditions in our body. So when I was diagnosed, I thought to myself, well, if the conditions in my body were such that these diseases could manifest, how could I change the conditions so I could get rid of these diseases? So what I then did was, let me see if this is going. Yeah, there we go. I started reading various books, and these are some of the doctors that have been pioneering the way forward on disease reversal and health through correct eating and correct nutrition. So I started reading these books, and after reading these books, I started to implement all the teachings and learnings that were in these books. And slowly but surely, my symptoms started to disappear, and I became much fitter and much healthier as a result. Now, how does this happen? How does this work, right? Very, very simple, yeah? We all have a system inside of us. It's like an engine, right? Like a car. So some of you have got cars, right? And every now and again, you must take your car for a service. Now, when you take your car for a service, you generally don't have to tell the mechanic that this car is a petrol car or this car is a diesel car. Make sure you put the right parts in, make sure you put the right oil in and the right filters in. The mechanic can open the hood, he can look at the engine, and he can see what this car needs purely by looking at the design of the engine. And in the same way, we have an engine in our body, which is the digestive tract. And if you look at our digestive tract, it has a specific design. Now, when we look at this design, that will tell us what are the right foods for our engine, okay? And you can look clearly, you've got a carnivore on one side and you've got the digestive tract of a herbivore on the other side. And they're very, very different. And when you look at all the markers in the human body, and there's over 300 markers in the human body that scientifically prove that we are herbivores by nature. So if we put plant-based foods into an engine that's designed for plant-based foods, our engine will run smoothly and the rest of the body will work correctly, disease-free and healthy. But however, if we put the wrong fuel, i.e. dairy products, meat products, fish, eggs, all of the stuff that shouldn't belong in this engine, sooner or later the engine gets clogged up just like a car would, and it will break down. And for humans, breakdowns can't manifest themselves in the way of these horrendous diseases that people are suffering from, like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure, and all the rest of them. Okay, so the key is to recognize what is the right fuel. So how do we know what is the right fuel? Again, all we have to do is examine the digestive tract and examine the way that our body is designed, and we can see what the right fuel is. So if you look at the digestive tract of a carnivore, you can see it's much shorter than the one of a herbivore. And that's because carnivores eat flesh, and there's no fiber in flesh. Our digestive tract is designed for food with fiber. So no dairy products, no eggs, and no flesh has any fiber whatsoever. In fact, their digestive tracts are so short because when an animal is killed, at that very moment, meat starts to decay and starts to putrefy, and that leaches poisons into the body. So it's the job of a carnivore to take that food, pass it through the digestive tract so that all the nutrients and all the goodness can be taken away before too many poisons leach into the body. And that's why the tract is very, very short. Also, the acid inside a carnivore is much stronger than that of a herbivore. And if you look at the herbivore side, you are much, much longer intestinal tract. It's almost 14 to 16 times longer than a carnivore, because we need fiber in our food. And what that does, it helps all the nutrients pass along through into the body. And we need it to absorb water. We need water, which also helps us to digest our food correctly. So it has a very, very long track where food can pass through slowly and it can be digested correctly. Now imagine you've got a food like meat or fish or dairy or eggs that needs to pass through a system in about 3 to 4 hours, but is put into a system which can take 24 hours for it to pass through. Now, as it's passing through, it's putrefying, it's decaying, it's releasing toxins and poisons. So when you put that into a tract that's so much longer, that food is releasing all of those poisons into our body, and our body is constantly fighting just to keep us alive, which is why we end up with diseases. So that's just one point. There's many, many others, but we're going to move on to the next slide. So why do we get unhealthy and unfit and develop diseases? Well, essentially, our bodies need nutrients, okay, to survive. They need nutrients, and they need antioxidants, and they need all the vitamins and minerals and all of these things which come from our food. So if we put the correct food into our digestive system, our engine, our body can extract all the things that our body requires so we can be healthy, ultimately be fit, and be disease-free. Now, there's 4 main causes of being unhealthy, unfit, and developing diseases. And the first one is excess fat. Now, fat is found in dairy, it's found in meat, and it's found in eggs. Is everyone on mute? I can hear voices. Yeah. So the first thing is we need to have the cause of all these diseases and being unhealthy is excess fat. There's no fat found in plant-based products, or very little, especially in nuts, and it's very balanced. Excess protein is a major cause of being unfit and unhealthy. There's a huge protein myth that we must eat protein. There's a huge protein myth at the moment, and it's the leading cause of cancers and gout and all sorts of acidity problems and everything else. Lack of fiber is another major issue for everyone. Like I said, the fiber is the vehicle that pulls your nutrition through along your digestive tract so things can be extracted. If there's lack of fiber, your digestive system cannot work correctly. And the other big problem is having acidic foods. Acidic foods, again, come from mostly the animal kingdom, dairy, again, and even vegetables that are highly processed also become very acidic. So if you look at this chart here, you can see where our nutrients come from. So if we need nutrients and we need minerals and vitamins and all of these things to keep us healthy and fit, you can see from the chart, nutrients per calorie, where are we getting the most nutrients? So if you look right at the top is green vegetables, and all leafy green vegetables, and it goes all the way down, and everything's basically nuts until you get to this red line. And below the red line is everything that really isn't giving us what we need. In fact, we're getting far too many calories per nutrients, everything below the red line. So we want to try and keep above the red line and keep all the foods above the red line for us to optimize on our health and fitness, and staying completely disease-free. And another key component for this is, oh, there we go. What's happening here? 1 second, it's going backwards. So we need to keep all the nutrients there. And another way is to increase your nutrient content is to go organic. Now, a lot of people say to me, Ramesh, you know, organic food is so expensive, and I don't, you know, there's not a lot of, I can't afford it, and maybe the variety is not there. But really, honestly, if you're committed to your health, if you're committed to being fit and healthy, you'll find the right organic food. Now, organic food does cost a little more per item, okay? But in the end, it's actually cheaper than commercial food, and I explain to you why. If you look at this chart, this was data gathered by a university in America where they tested the soil from east coast of America all the way to the west coast to determine where they could grow vegetables and get the most yield. And at the same time, what they experimented with is organic and commercial yields. And they extrapolated this data from there. And if you can see at the bottom, I've highlighted tomatoes. Okay, you can see the line that says organic and you see the line that says commercial. If we move all the way across to the third row, you can see the calcium content in an organic tomato is 23 units. In a commercial tomato, it's 4.5 units. So you would need to eat four commercial tomatoes to get the same level of calcium as you would in just one organic tomato. But if you go even further, take a look at iron, which is the third one from the end. You would need to eat nearly 2,000 commercial tomatoes to get the same iron level as there is in one organic tomato. Now, when you do these sums and these maths, it's very easy to see that eating organic, one, makes sense. It's actually cheaper because you're getting all your nutrients packed into one fruit. And apart from all of that, you're not taking in the fertilizers, the pesticides, and all the other chemicals that go into mass producing these foods. So for optimum health, for absolute optimum health, we need a cholesterol-free diet. Now, cholesterol is not found in any plant-based foods. It's only found in animal-based foods. And the reason for that is cholesterol is made from our liver, okay? And we need cholesterol. All animals need it. It's used for repair and all sorts of things. It has many, many functions in our body. We do need it. And our bodies produce enough cholesterol for us to for all its functions. Now, when we take in dairy or eggs or meat, we're adding to the cholesterol that we're already producing, which is why a lot of people are having cholesterol issues. So if you switch to plant-based, then you won't have any cholesterol issues. Next, we need food that is high in fiber, again, for our engine, our digestive tract to work correctly. The fiber is found in plants. It's not found in animal products or dairy products or in eggs. And the reason for that is fiber really is a structure for animals so they can stand. All animals have skeletons, so they don't need fiber. But plants don't have skeletons, so fiber helps them to stand straight and to have structure in their leaves and their stems and everything else. So it's very important that we have plant-based foods to increase our fiber content. Then we need food that's high in nutrients. And you saw from the chart before, the food with the highest nutrients per calorie are all in the plant-based category. And then if you can increase your organic consumption, you're further boosting your nutrient intake. And again, we need alkaline food. So we are alkaline, and our cells function very correctly in an alkaline environment. So whole plant-based foods are alkaline. Meats, dairy, eggs are all acidic. So if we can shift towards alkaline, cholesterol-free, high nutrient, high fiber foods, we'll start to become fit, healthy, and disease-free. But what about weight loss and overall fitness? Well, in actual fact, I've been talking about this all along. If you adopt these things, you will automatically start to lose weight. And many people will lose huge amounts of weight in a very, very short period of time. A lot of people that I've worked with and done workshops with start losing up to ½ kilo a day after the first 5-6 days of being in this diet. And they continue to lose this weight until they reach their optimum weights. And I'll show you, as we get towards the end of the presentation, I'll show you a few before and after pictures. What about exercise? Now, exercise is quite important if you want to be fit and healthy, but it doesn't mean that you have to be in the gym 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, it's really important that you get your heart rate up a little bit, maybe for 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day. You can go for a brisk walk. And even if you haven't got somewhere to walk, or you don't feel safe walking out outside, you can walk just up and down a flight of stairs 10 times, and you'll see how quickly your heart rate comes up. Walking, and then if you can do more than walking and you can go to the gym and maybe do ½ an hour of gym or resistance weights, that's also very good. But you don't have to do it every day. Maybe 2 or 3 times a a week. And then if you can take up a sport, sports are very good as well, yeah, because they're competitive. And when you're in that competitive mode, you really end up doing a lot more exercise than you thought you would. And I can be a testament to that because I play badminton every Wednesday night. I'm very competitive. And yesterday I went all out, and I couldn't believe it when I got home how tired I was and how much I'd worked out, maybe more than I would have at a gym, all right, because I'm just, you're in the game. So it's nice to take up a game, something that you enjoy, cricket, football, badminton, or join some classes. Again, if you're in a class with a group of people and somebody teaching you some aerobics class, it's very, very good for you to keep up your exercise. But even a simple thing like just walking, and even a simple thing like having your printer in another room, so when you print something you have to get up and go and get it, right? So all of these little things can help you increase your exercise throughout the day. Now, all of this is great, right? And a lot of people will hear these messages and they all know about good nutrition and exercise and everything else. And some of you have been on these webinars during the Ahimsa Fest and maybe other talks and everything else. And, human nature is that sometimes we just want to gather information, right? And we just want to know that we went to the talk or we heard the webinar and I've ticked that box. And, someday, one day, maybe in the future, I'm going to do something about my health, right? Well, you can decide to do it someday, one day, maybe, but you can decide to do it now. But if you decide that you're not going to do anything with your health and you're going to continue with what you're doing, then you will start to feel horrible. You'll start to feel down, and it's harder to get back onto the track of getting fit and healthy. The results of eating a low nutrient diet is this, and that's the kind of future a lot of people are looking at: being obese, being unhealthy, and being unhappy. Fortunately, reversing obesity and reversing unhealthy is very easy, okay? The difficult one to reverse is being unhappy, all right? And you don't want to get down that road. So start tackling your health issues or your fitness issues, and really take on nutrition and start to see what a difference it can make to your lifestyle. So I want to show you some comparisons and tell you a few stories, right? Some success stories that we've had. Okay, one of them is me, of course, and I'll show you a before and after photo of me as we come down. But this guy here is my dad, right? Now, he is in his 60s. He was diabetic for around 25 years. He was on various tablets for his diabetes, or for blood pressure, for cholesterol, and for heart disease. And he was on 42 units of insulin, and taking that insulin, 2 injections, 20 units in the morning, 22 units in the evening, every day. And this was going on for 27 years, right? So we put him on the plan, and initially he was a little bit skeptical because he just thought, I don't want to change my diet, right? So in actual fact, he refused to go on the diet, like many stubborn people. And I learned very quickly that parents never listen to their kids anyway, right? So I decided to stop lecturing him or stop pushing him. And instead what I did was I spoke to my mum and I taught her a few tricks on things that changes she can make in the diet. And slowly his health starting to improve. And when he went to the doctor for his quarterly checkup, the doctor, for the first time in 27 years, said to him that we need to reduce your medication. You're over-medicated. Now you can imagine after 27 years how wonderful that felt for my father. So when he came back from the doctor's appointment, he said to me, Ramesh, this is great. This is working. Now I want to do it full pelt. So I said, okay, great. So we worked on his diet. We went on it full pelt. And just 16 weeks later, this is what he looked like. So you can see the weight loss was incredible. He actually looks younger in this photo. And then after that, of course, he came off all his tablets. His injections were reduced from 42 units to just 4 units. And then a few months later, even those 4 units had disappeared. So was it worth it for my dad? Absolutely, yes. Okay. And this was my mother. At the time. Now, she didn't have any particular disease, but you can see she was severely overweight, and she'd been suffering from being overweight for many years, best part of 20 years. She couldn't really shift her weight. She's been on many diets, and I'm sure a lot of you have been on diets where you do lose some weight, but as soon as you stop the diet, or after a short while, the weight comes back, and sometimes comes back with even more weight than you had when you began the diet. Because a lot of these diets are based on restricting your foods, restricting your calories, restricting the things that you like, But if you can make the foods that you like, and if you can enjoy the foods by substituting some of the harmful ingredients to making it actually healing, then you can enjoy your favorite foods and actually eat more food and lose weight. So you never feel deprived. So my mum went on that diet with my dad, and you can see after, again, about 3-4 months, she'd come down considerably. She's even thinner now. But what's even better than that is both of them now have joined the gym, and my dad joined the swimming club. He never knew how to swim. He learned how to swim. He goes swimming twice a week, and my mum also goes to yoga. They only buy enough food for one day. So every day they have to walk to the fruit and veg shop, which is 2.5 kilometers, and they buy the veg and they walk 2.5 kilometers back. That's their exercise every day, 5 kilometers every day. And then they go for their yoga and their swimming. And one day I said to my dad, how come you do so much exercise? You know, I don't even do that much. You're walking every day, you're going yoga, you're going swimming. It's wonderful, but how come you're doing so much? And he said to me, Ramesh, you don't understand. I have so much energy now, I don't know what to do with myself. And that is how I want to be when I'm his age, right? I want to have so much energy. I don't want to know what to do with myself. So that's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. So I'm very proud of my parents. They've done a great, great job. Now, this was me when I'd already lost some weight. You can see, I don't know if you can see clearly on the screen, but there's my stomach sticking out and not looking so healthy. But after I went on the diet and I quickly lost weight, and this picture was taken about 4 years ago. And the wonderful thing is once you are on the correct path, then no matter how much you eat or no matter what you eat, you really never put on any weight again, because your body is now switched on to what we call a healing mode as opposed to a fighting mode, you know, trying to protect you all the time from all the poisons you're putting in. Now it's healing, and it's constantly healing and constantly repairing and making sure that you're healthy, fit all the time. So that was me then. And the actual, you know, the best part of the whole story, it was this. These are my 2 children. They are wonderful kids, much older now. This was when they were 10. My son was 10 and my daughter was 8 at the time. And my son had suffered from asthma most of his life, and my daughter had eczema most of her life. And my son's asthma was quite severe in that he would take the pump every day. He did have a pump at school and a pump with him in the bag. And, you know, a couple of times a year, he would have a major attack and we'd have to take him to the hospital. Now, that's never fun. When you've got to take your children to the hospital, it's never, ever fun. And it was very traumatic for me as a parent. And also, you could just imagine how traumatic it was for Yuvan, having to go there 2 or 3 times a year, being put on ventilators and being kept in for, you know, overnight until he was calm again. So being the cook in the house, when I switched to a whole plant-based diet, the kids obviously had to eat what I was making. Now, I made foods very tasty for them, very delicious. So they didn't notice really much difference. I was still making pizzas, I was making lasagnas, burritos, all the Indian foods, the curries, the sabjis, and all of that stuff, but making it whole and plant-based. And what I noticed was after a while, his wheezing stopped. Okay, and I said to Yuvan, you know, your wheezing has stopped. I think you should stop taking your pump. So he said, okay, but I said, keep it with you in case you need it. And he kept it with him. And then after a while, I said, why don't you join the football club? He'd never been to, never really played, because if he got out of breath, he'd have an attack. He joined the football club. And what happened as a result, he's become much fitter, much healthier. Not only does he play football now, he's almost as big as me. He does mixed martial arts and he wants to go into competition level. He does boxing. And next August, he signed up to cycle from Nairobi all the way to Mombasa for a charity run. So he's doing all of these wonderful things that wouldn't have maybe been possible had he stayed on the dairy vegetarian diet that we are on. And Anya's eczema, again, has all cleared up. So, you know, these are the wonderful kind of stories that we always hear when people go on these diets. And this is a universal success for everyone, because we all have the same engine. As human beings, this is our engine. And if we put the right fuels into this engine, then our bodies will reward us with fantastic health, optimum fitness, and being disease-free. So that is the end of my talk. I hope I didn't overrun. And I'm happy to take questions, Dr. Rupa.
Yeah, just amazing stories that I heard from you.
Thank you.
I think the whole family gets benefited. Sometimes when one person of the family is doing something, other thinks it's a diet, and it's for somebody else. Or maybe it's
Yeah,
someone who's sick and it's for them.
yeah,
Here we are trying to say that it's the whole family gets benefited.
correct.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's called the we call it the ripple effect. Once you start on this journey and you start looking after your own health, automatically you start to, that ripple effect happens and everyone sees that you're getting better, looking younger, you're looking healthier, you're looking fitter, and everybody wants a little piece of that. Okay. And I always advise people that the first person you should take care of is yourself. Don't try and change others, right? Just take care of yourself first and then let them come to you when they're ready.
Yes, I mean, each time you meet people, they just suddenly, have a spark in their eyes and they look at you. Oh, is that you? You look
Yeah,
so much younger. You look so
yeah,
healthy. I think the
yeah,
it's written on our face how healthy we feel, and it gets radiated everywhere in our actions.
absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely.
So, the doctors don't tell about all these diet and lifestyle. They always tell about medication.
Correct. Unfortunately, the doctors have got a bit of a hard job, and they're kind of stuck between what they do, the pharmaceutical industries and everything else. And in their training, they're not really trained on nutrition. I spoke to my GP in the UK when I came off diabetes, and believe it or not, he's still refusing to take me off the diabetic register, even though my markers are all normal. But he said to me that when he was in uh, studying medicine, they spent 3 weeks out of 7 years on nutrition. 3 weeks, and you can't remember any of it. So it's not really their fault. The system's geared up for treating symptoms and not dealing with the cause diseases. Okay, so as long as you're treating the symptom, the disease never goes away. And if you can deal with the disease, the symptom's not there. You don't need to take
Absolutely.
medication. Yeah. So that's really the key to it all.
Yeah, as I've heard people sometimes suffering for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
They're almost confirmed. They're very set with medication, a way of life.
Yeah.
They're also very set with their disease, and they'll say, I am diabetic. And now
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have also some patients 7 years out of diabetes, and they say, I was a diabetic.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
it amazing to
Yeah.
know
That's right.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
the complications of diabetes get better. Like,
That's right. Yeah. So if anyone's suffering from the complications, and it starts off with nerve damage, the fine capillaries and all that, could be the eyesight, could be hearing, could be your touch sensitivity in extremities. All of these start to repair. We've had people's eyesight get much better, touch, everything gets better. And even goes even further if you've had further damage, from high sugars constantly in your body with things like calcification, organ damage, stuff like that. They do start to repair because, it's really important to know that the nature of human beings is to constantly heal and repair. And if we can allow our bodies to remain in our natural state, which is healing and repairing, that's what it does best. And we just have to allow it to do that job. So when we eat in a whole plant-based form, giving the right fuel to the engine that is our engine and what it's designed for, our bodies can do exactly what they're designed to do, which is heal and repair.
so it's like you're inspiring inner doctor.
Sorry, I'm
Inner doctor.
inspiring.
We all have
Yes,
inner
we
doctor.
all are. That's right. We don't need doctors. We don't need doctors. We have our doctor inside, and it knows exactly what to do. Just trust it. The body knows. It's a remarkable, remarkable machine.
There are some comments for you here.
Yeah. How do
Can
I?
if someone suffered by from other physical ailments like liver or kidney problem because of diabetes, does
Yeah.
it help them heal? You
It
see
does
this?
help.
It's written on chat
Is there?
button. Next to the
Okay.
screen, there's a chat button.
All right. Hold on.
On that, these questions are getting.
Chat button. Okay. Sorry, I'm new to this thing. Shall I come out of the?
No, I read it to you. The question: if
Okay.
someone
Okay.
suffered from kidney or liver problem because of
Yeah. Okay.
diabetes, does that?
Yeah.
You said
So
it does help.
Yeah, it does help, but if you're depending on how severe the damage is to the liver and kidney, I always advise people to go to a doctor who understands and believes in disease reversal through nutrition. And then what they can do is they can give you a more focused approach to isolate your condition and help you on that condition. Okay, so sometimes you can be on a whole plant-based diet, but it may mean omitting a few things or increasing certain things just to push you along and give you focus to get those issues sorted out.
Yes.
Yeah, so you need some guidance to help you along with that. And also many people will be on medication, and if they don't know how to de-medicate themselves, it's also good to be with a doctor. So as your symptoms start to reduce, you want to make sure that you're not over medicated for the lower, as you're getting better. So it's always good to check in with somebody to make sure that you're not over medicating yourself.
Absolutely. The problem is, there are two problems. The number one problem is disease itself, and number two problem is, I think, the medications.
Yeah.
The
See,
medications
they're a big problem because the medication is only designed to deal with the side effect of the disease. But what comes coupled with that, so if we're talking about diabetes, for example, and you take a glucophage or metformin or something like that, that will bring your sugars down, which is dealing with the symptom. It's not dealing with the cause. But coupled with that, it comes with a host of side effects. Okay, so your body now has to deal with all the side effects of just you managing your sugar. If you can just get rid of that whole story and just deal with the cause, if the cause is gone, sugars are back to normal. You don't need to worry about medicine and the side effects that come from taking on the medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The next question is, I have just found out that I have very high blood pressure. I don't smoke. I'm not obese in any way and exercise regularly and only drink occasionally. Will this help me specifically for blood pressure?
100%. Blood pressure and cholesterol are the first things to reverse. And I would suspect there's probably is something in your diet. I don't know if you're a meat eater or if you have dairy or milk or cheese or yogurts and things like that in your system, in your diet. But if you go onto a whole plant-based diet, in fact, you will see your blood pressure and your cholesterol drop first. Within just a few weeks, you'll see it normalize very, very quickly. Yeah. So I would definitely recommend you switch to a whole plant-based diet. It will certainly help you. And in exercise, the other thing that's very important, we're talking about keeping fit and healthy. People who exercise a lot and go to the gym need a recovery period. Okay. And some of you may have heard of this recovery period. During the recovery period, you get aches and pains and your muscle fatigue and lactic acid in the system and everything else. People who are on a whole plant-based diet as opposed to a meat or dairy diet experience much faster recovery. So you can get back to normal and your body repairs quicker, you're fitter, you're healthier, much faster, much more accelerated to getting to your optimum health. So definitely it does work.
Yeah, fantastic. Blood pressure is result of a wrong lifestyle and diet.
Yeah. Well, just sitting around can raise your blood pressure, or a lot of stress. If you've got stress at work, it's always, stress is a big factor in a lot of diseases. And we all need to adopt good stress coping mechanisms. Yeah. And, there's many ways you can do that. Some people just like to sit quietly and listen to music. Some people might want to do 10 minutes of a meditation or breathing. Sometimes if you just go for a run, all your stress disappears. Okay. Whatever it works for you, you just manage your stress, keep eating well, let your body do what it's supposed to do, heal and repair, and you'll start feeling better and your symptoms will come back to normal. There will be no symptoms.
There's another question. She says, my child is 6 years, type 1 diabetic.
Yeah.
We started plant-based diet for her. She is not taking any insulin for last 9 months.
Fantastic.
But her weight is not increasing as per age. She's 17.2 kilo. Will her weight increase?
Okay. This is really good. I love this question, right? So first of all, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. Type 2 is a hormonal disease. Two very different diseases, okay? And I'm so happy to hear that you're on a whole plant-based diet. and avoiding all the dairy. Okay, so it's great that she's off her insulin as well. So keep that going. Now, the next thing I want to say, and in particular, when I visit India, so many people are concerned about, oh my God, my kid's not bulky enough, not big enough, and all of this stuff, right? Okay. As long as you're feeding your child and they're getting their meals and they're not hungry, don't worry whether they're slightly underweight or slightly overweight. That will all correct itself as they get older, okay? For now, you just focus on keeping that diet as it is, okay? So as long as the child is not going hungry and you're giving it whole plant-based foods, they're getting all the right nutrients, please don't stress about the weight of the child. If you go to a school, you see all the different ranges of sizes and weights of children. They're all fine. And humans are supposed to be like that, okay? We're all supposed to be some bigger, some lighter, some heavier, some shorter, some taller. Don't worry about it. Just make sure they're getting the right food, and the body will make sure that your daughter is the right weight, the right height for whatever genes that she has, and so please don't worry about it. That's what I'm saying to you. Don't try and increase her weight artificially. Don't do that.
Excellent. There's one more question I have in my mind, that you was mentioning that blood pressure and stress are usually connected.
Yeah.
How does this diet help also mentally?
Oh, I tell you, this is a whole topic in itself, but I'll give you the short version, okay? If you imagine, right, you're in a abattoir, right, and you're in charge of killing the animal, okay? Now, would you agree that animals know that they're about to be killed? Every being knows when they're about to be killed, because it's in us instinctively to survive, right? That's the number one thing. All animals instinctively have to survive, okay? So at the moment they're about to be killed and they're struggling to stay alive, what happens is in the body, adrenaline kicks in, and the flight hormones kick in, right? So adrenaline and all the hormones and everything kicks into the body, because the body needs to get ready to either fight or flight, okay? So all these animals have nowhere to go, but the adrenaline's all running through their body, okay? And all these stress hormones are in their body at the moment they're being killed. The chickens, the cows, the lambs and everything else. Then we kill those animals whilst the hormones are still all in their body. Then we eat those animals, and we're eating those stress hormones. So as well as our own stress hormones, we're increasing the amount of stress hormones in our body. We're eating all of that, what I call bad karma, but actually it's scientifically, we're looking at the scientific version of it, is the stress hormones we take on, which means that we get stressed out quickly, little things, because we've always got these things running in our blood, in our system. Now, when you stop the animal products, all of these stress hormones and all of that gets cleansed from your body. Then what you'll find is automatically you become a much calmer person. And I've seen this 100% of the time with everyone that switches from from meat eating to plant-based diets. And everyone reports to me within 2 or 3 weeks, oh my God, Ramesh, I'm so much calmer. I'm not arguing with my wife anymore. She's not arguing with me anymore. It's amazing. My kids are not driving me up the wall. They're still doing the same thing, but I'm calm. I don't know what's happened. And it's because you don't have all the stress of the dead animals in your body, okay? I hope that makes sense. There's a lot more science to it, but that's the short version. We stop consuming those stress hormones and we stay calmer as a result. So it definitely helps, big time.
Wonderful. There are a couple of more questions.
Yeah.
Trupti is saying, my husband is a foodie and hardcore non-vegetarian.
Yeah.
However, I don't prepare non-veg food, hence he has turned 50% vegetarian.
Right.
And is there any stepwise lessons on whole food plant-based diet which one can follow?
Yes, right. So let me tell you one thing, Dhruti, yeah? 99% of human beings are foodies. We're all foodies. I'm a big foodie, right? And I'm sure Dr. Rupa's a foodie, right? Rupa?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all foodies, yeah? We all love food. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? Second thing, before I started this journey, I was a big meat eater and a big cheese eater and a dairy consumer, very big. I loved my chicken curry and my lamb curry and all the things and my cheeses. I loved all of those things, yeah? Now, believe it or not, the other day, I made the best vegan lamb curry you've ever tasted, okay? I'm so proud of it. In fact, I've invited people over. I've invited somebody over tonight, and maybe I'm not going to make it tonight, but on the weekend, next Thursday, I'm doing a health talk for the Jewish community, and I'm making the vegan lamb curry as a taster for them to get them to understand that you can make all your delicious dishes, still have the texture, the flavor, and everything else that you love about meat, but in a whole plant-based form, okay? Now, if you want to learn some of these dishes, you just have to simply go, there's many dishes, you can go on Google and you can learn, just type in vegan lamb or vegan this or vegan that, and you can learn to make these dishes. It's very, very simple. You just have to start doing the research, and start buying a few books and start experimenting. It's very, very easy. And the switch over is so simple. Really, don't be frightened of it. It's really easy. Yeah.
The next one is she says, I'm not affected with any disease so far, but I'm keen to switch to a diet which can prevent my body against any disease.
Wonderful. That's the best attitude. Don't wait till you're dying before you switch your diet. Switch your diet so you never get to that point, right? It's really, really good, preventative. And as soon as you switch your diet, you'll automatically start feeling better. Your energy levels will go up. You'll sleep better. Everything will improve. So it's fantastic. It's really wonderful when I meet people who don't have a particular disease, but they really want to take on their health right now. Yeah. And unfortunately, I meet many people that don't value their health until they're actually diagnosed, which is a shame. It happened to me. I didn't value my health until I was diagnosed with diabetes, and if I'd started earlier on this health journey, maybe I wouldn't have even never got diabetes. So who knows? So it's a wonderful thing. If you can start on this journey well before anything happens, you actually disease proofing yourself. So it's a wonderful thing.
Also, by the time you have got diabetes, it's already quite late because much of the stuff, is so damaged. But then you have to start working quite hard to reverse it. So don't wait for the blood numbers to tell one fine day that you have diabetes or something.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we're humans by nature. And sometimes, no matter how much people know they should do something, until they have a major event like a diagnosis, they never really get into action. So it's really up to the individual, and we hope that people can start switching and learn all of these skills before they actually would need them for something like that. It's much easier then.
Also, sometimes they think they have nothing. They'll announce that I have nothing, I have no disease.
Yeah.
But as they give up, suddenly they see there's a remarkable change in their own health state or energy level.
That's right.
And then they realize that they're living a very compromised life.
Absolutely correct. Yeah. I mean, I believe disease starts from the age of 5 or 6, right? And things start to manifest, and you may not feel the symptoms, okay? But it doesn't mean it's not happening in your body and things are starting to go wrong. And it's not until we reach our sort of 30s or 40s until our body says, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't manage this anymore. I'm not going to continue trying to keep you fit and healthy with everything that you're putting down the throat, which is not good for me, okay? So I'm going to have to drop one ball. So I'm going to drop the diabetes ball. You got diabetes now. I'm going to drop the cancer ball. You got cancer now, or you got heart disease, or you got blood pressure. The body cannot keep going if we keep putting the wrong things in. Just like a car will not keep going if you put the wrong fuel in the car. It'll go a few miles and then it'll conk out, all right? So it's very important that we all understand that disease doesn't just come like that. It's been coming for many years, and then when the markers are right, you get diagnosed. The other thing that people often forget is that actually being overweight and obese is a disease. It's a disease because it's the precursor to all the other things that we've mentioned: heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer, all of those things. So if some of you say, well, I don't have those things, but I'm a little bit overweight, well, treat that as a disease and let's get that right. And then you'll never have those other things.
I totally agree with you. Even just, 2 or 3 pounds or 2 kilo more itself is a sign, or little bit increase in your waistline or, that body does not lie. It always tells the truth.
Never does, unfortunately. We wish it could sometimes, but it never does.
It never does. There's a system, there's a process. You don't have disease getting into your system by mistake or something. There's no mistake there.
No, there's no mistake. There's never a mistake.
There is another one, Nitesh, he's saying, I'm a meat eater and my cholesterol is 5.6.
Yeah.
So I don't understand this 5.6 number, because in India we have another number.
Yeah, even I don't understand it. He'll have to, I mean, is he saying his cholesterol's high or?
Yeah, no idea. Maybe Nitesh, you want to write again.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
please.
another one. I want to know the step-by-step lessons which I can follow to start the plant-based diet.
Okay. So the number one thing is obviously give up meat and fish. Okay. Right. Number two, give up all dairy products. Dairy means milk, cheese, yogurt, ghee, chas, lassi, paneer, anything that's got dairy in it. And you have to also look at your biscuits and things like that have dairy powder and everything else in those. Those are the two biggest things you can do. So that's going on to plant-based. But if you want to go whole plant-based, which is the most effective and correct diet for us, is you start eating unprocessed vegetables as well. So don't peel your carrots and don't peel your cucumbers. Eat them whole when you put them in a salad. When you bake your potatoes, keep the skin on. I just eat everything like that whole. When you make your curries and everything else, if you're making your potatoes and things like that, just make it as whole as possible. Have lots of lentils, have lots of beans to make sure that you're feeling satiated all the time. Increase your salad intake. Remember the chart that I showed you at the beginning, that the leafy greens have the highest amount of nutrients per calorie. And what I teach people in the UK and in India, when I come to India to do courses, is that when you plan your meals, it's very important that instead of having a side salad, you sit down and have a nice bowl of salad. Finish that bowl of salad and then go for your main meal. And what that means is your stomach is already half full with the best food it can have, with the highest nutrient level. And then have the rest of your sabji or rice or whatever else you're going to have. And what you'll find is you'll have less of the food, of the cooked food, and more of the raw food, because you've already half filled your stomach. And you're getting all the nutrients that you require. But the real key is drop the dairy, drop the meats, and try and go as whole as possible. I mean, we also have, in what I teach is actually oil-free cooking. We don't use oil because oil is not whole, right? And it's 100% fat, okay? And some of you might be wondering right now, oh my God, how do I do my talka? How do I fry my onions? How do I do all of that? All of these videos are on YouTube. I do cooking demos here. There's cooking demos in India. I'm sure there's going to be some at the Ahimsa Fest. And it's so easy. And everyone that has switched onto this zero oil diet often tells me after a week or two, I cannot believe I've been using oil all these years. You don't need it for anything. So those are the keys. If you can stick to those, then you're doing great. You're doing absolutely great.
So 2 questions, Ramesh. Number one, usually we know that women cook, not men.
Yeah.
Who cook. So that's like amazing.
Yeah.
And secondly, the women in the kitchen are very fixed with their own style of cooking, and you come from, say, a Gujarati household or whatever, and we all have our traditional way of cooking and a lot of fried stuff also, and enjoying. And how do you manage to convince them to go completely oil-free?
Well, I mean, once I do a lot of cooking demos, so I teach people. So even things like bhajia, people love crispy bhajia. Okay, I make them oil-free. I make chips oil-free. I make churro oil-free. I make all these things and I show them how easy it is to do, because you just have to get over that hurdle and that block in your head that I can't cook without oil, because people think we just have to put a teaspoon, we just have to put it. But once you can get past that and actually understand you don't have to put it and it tastes just as good, if not better, then people start to become inventive themselves and they start to do it. I can't force them to do it because I'm not in everyone's house all the time, but I often, form WhatsApp groups and I support people and we try and just help each other out. But the best method is to go to a cooking class or somebody, or do a demo or try it out yourself. And it's so easy. And once you've done it once or twice, you'll just pick it up. I come from a traditional Gujarati family. I mean, my mum and dad were just like, how the hell am I going to make all this stuff without oil? Yeah, how am I going to fry without oil? How am I going to do this? And now there's no oil anywhere in the house. So and we have everything. We have everything that you guys are having.
It's more about the mindset, no?
It's
And
the
the
mindset.
habit.
You've got to, it's just the mindset. You just got to get past it, right? And start cooking without oil. That's it. Watch YouTube videos, keep practicing, go to cooking demos. Just keep plugging yourself in until you get it.
We just had one cooking demo in a Ahimsa festival. It was all
Yeah.
for men.
Fantastic.
It was a full class, and we're planning to do one also on the 12th of November when we have a Ahimsa festival, and again we'll have a session for men because it was in great demand.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So I laugh and I always say that men are better cook.
You
Why
know,
don't they
what I
cook?
find, yeah, men love to cook, but sometimes the partners take over. They don't allow the men to cook, right?
Mm,
And then the men are just like, oh, well, you know, my wife always cooks, right? But
mm,
sometimes, ladies, let your man do it in the kitchen. Even if it goes wrong, let him try it, okay?
yeah.
You know, it's always fun.
Yeah. Uh, why can we not have meat and adopt a whole plant-based food diet?
Okay, so I don't know if you saw the first part of the presentation. Look, you can have it, right? But you have to know that our engine is not designed for meat. Our digestive tract is designed for whole plant-based foods. That's what it's designed for. So if you put the wrong fuel in the body, which is meats, dairies, and fish, sooner or later it's going to break down, and sooner or later you're going to get a disease. So meat is not our fuel. It's not our fuel. We're eating somebody else's fuel. And if you think about it, right, we can't eat meat raw. Yeah, we have to cook it, tenderize it. We've got to drown it in spices and flavors until it actually doesn't even taste like chicken or lamb anymore. We have to do all of that, smother it in vegetables just to make it appetizing. We don't even have the capacity to chase an animal, hunt it, grab it. We don't have claws. We're not very fast on our feet. We don't have the teeth to tear into an animal and pull out the flesh. We are not designed for eating meat. Instead, we have wonderful hands that are designed for picking and plucking fruit, for pulling out vegetables, and for farming and all of that stuff. So we are designed, we've got to look at the whole thing. Our whole body is designed for plant-based foods. It's not designed for meat. And if we keep putting meat in our body, we're going to break down. And that's scientific, and that's unfortunately what it is. So you can still have it, but know what's going to happen to you. And I would recommend that you don't.
There's a next question. I'm a hardcore non-vegetarian. If I suddenly switch over to plant-based diet, will it have any side effects? Do you suggest to switch over
It will.
to plant slowly and gradually?
No. It will have major side effects, like you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, you'll lose weight, you'll be disease-free, you'll look younger. I mean, the side effects are major. So I'm warning you, right? If you switch over to plant-based, the side effects are there, right?
Fantastic. The same questions usually vegetarians will ask you. Why no milk?
Okay, couple of things about milk, yeah, right? First of all, you know, we humans are really actually the stupidest animals on the planet, right? Because we are the only species on the planet that drink from another mammal. That's the first thing, right? Okay, you never see a giraffe drinking from an elephant or like a goat drinking from a dog, you know, you never see that, okay? Secondly, we're the only species on the planet that drinks milk as adults. No other animal in the adult kingdom drinks milk, right? We do, right? And the reason for that is because of the whole commercial industry behind milk. And we've been taught that we must drink milk for strong bones and blah, 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 right? So if we look at just those two facts, there's no reason for us to drink another mammal's milk, and there's no reason for us to drink milk as adults. But when you say, why is it actually bad for us? Well, first of all, every mammal's milk is designed for that mammal's baby. And every mammal has different requirements. So humans need a certain amount of hormones, growth hormones, nutrients and everything in human breast milk. Cows require even more growth hormones and more nutrients for their cows because their babies have to get to adult in just 18 months, and it takes us 18 years to become adults, right? So when we consume from another mammal, we're getting the wrong proportions of nutrients, fats, hormones, and everything else into our body, and it causes havoc, absolute havoc. More than that, the whole industry is filled with all sorts of chemicals and medicines, because the cows have to be taken antibiotics. They actually consume 80% of the global antibiotics just to stop infections in the udder, okay, from occurring, because the machines, they tear and pull up the udders, and you get blisters and you get pus, and all of that goes into the milk. All right, so we're consuming all of that. And in the UK, in the UK, they allow 8 drops of pus per glass of milk. Now, this is a country where things are regulated and there's a certain hygiene level and everything else. I'm not sure what the levels of hygiene and regulation are in India, but my guess is they're not as good as the UK. So you can imagine how much pus is in your glass of milk. So that is, again, a toxin and a poison that our body has to deal with. So every time we keep adding toxins and poisons into our body is never going to go into healing and repairing. It's going to constantly stay in fighting mode, defending. I've got to push off these poisons, get rid of them, and all of that stuff. The minute we stop consuming foods that are not designed for us, then our bodies will start healing and repairing. Milk is not a food for human beings, not cow's milk. Human breast milk is only up until the point we get teeth, and then we can chew our food. And the reason is, the minute we get teeth and we can chew our food, and all the other animals in the mammal kingdom, as soon as they're able to chew food, including us, we stop producing lactase, which is the hormone that breaks down lactose in our digestive tract. So we actually have the inability to digest milk. They add lactase in milk now to help you pass it along. This is not a food for us. I mean, this is just 2 or 3 points I've mentioned. I can do a whole workshop on why milk is bad for us. It actually is the biggest poison we can ever put into our body. It's worse than meat. It's worse than fish. It's now classed as the #1 carcinogenic thing that we put into our body. So it's causing the most cancer, more cancer than the sun, more cancer than anything else. Milk is bad news. So if you're not going to stop your chicken and your meat and all of that, at least stop your dairy. That's the first and best thing you can ever do for yourself and for your children.
Absolutely. Great message.
Yeah.
Another question. My friend who follows the whole plant cooking makes coconut milk and has instead of cow milk. Also, I think
Wonderful.
coconut oil or for cooking, is that okay? They are asking.
Right, so if you're making coconut milk, you're normally using grated coconut, maybe put it in a blender with some water, I'm presuming, something like that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it that way, you're actually using the whole part of the coconut. The problem is with coconut oil, they've extracted the oil, which means there's no fiber again, and it's just 100% fat. So coconut oil should no longer be in the kitchen. Move it from your kitchen to your bedroom and just use it in your hair as a skin moisturizer, and that's it.
Good stuff.
Do not cook with it. It's bad news. That includes olive oil, sunflower, all these so-called healthy oils. Stop them. If you like olive oil, instead of using olive oil in your salads, just put olives. That's the whole version of olive oil. If you like using sunflower oil, use sunflower seeds instead. Okay? So this is how you start thinking, how do I become whole? You can put grated coconut in your salads and you get that satiated feeling that you would if there was some oil in there. Just start doing avocados, all of these things you can put in there. Just stop using oil.
Trupti is asking, I am born Guju. I tried Bhajiyas oil-free in the OTG and husband and kids didn't like it at all. They say you must eat things, the things have to be the way they are. Like, again, don't want to change, basically.
Okay, Trupti, I'm also Guju. Thank you. Welcome. And I don't know, where does she make it? In a TG or what?
OTG is like the regular electric oven.
Okay.
Oven, call it, yeah.
Okay, you need to work on your recipe, basically, and make your chutneys, make your chutneys really nice. Work on your recipe a little bit, because when I bake my, if I'm doing potato bhajia, I slice the potatoes, I steam them slightly just to soften them, and then I put them in the chananu batter with all the masala in there and everything else, and then I bake them as well. And they come out just perfect. So you just need to work a little bit on your recipe to make that to make that just right. They come out just perfect with lovely, you can use a tomato chutney, tomato and chili chutney, or you can do a coconut chutney, whatever you like, amalina chutney. You can use all of those things to make it all delicious. But if it's come out a bit dry, maybe the mixture was too thick, or if it's come out a bit runny, you know, or there's not enough salt or masalas and things like that. So you need to just work on your mixture a little bit, and then just keep trying. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Perfect. There's Nandita who is asking, when we get a stomach infection, all doctors recommend eating curds to boost friendly bacteria in stomach or our guts.
Yeah.
My family does not like peanut curds. How can I resolve or find a dairy-free solution to resolve this? Especially when one has diarrhea or a stomach infection.
Okay. So the first thing is, if you go whole plant-based, it's unlikely you'll ever get a stomach infection ever again. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay.
Super.
Second, if you're still getting a stomach infection, the gut bacteria is not going to help you. Okay, because it's an infection. Okay, so you need to deal with the infection. Now, gut bacteria is there to help the digestive process of various things. Yeah, and you don't have to just get them from dahi. Okay, you get them from peanut curd, but you can buy soya curd, or you can get pickles, right? You know, like sauerkraut. Any sort of pickles have got the same bacteria in them. Okay. Or you can buy probiotics pills if you're worried about your gut bacteria. Now, the probiotics and all of these other stuff, I tend to tell all my people, forget all of that stuff, because if you're eating whole plant-based foods, your body automatically has the right level of bacteria, the right type of bacteria, and everything is working as it should. You know, 5,000 years ago, even 1,000 years ago, even 100 years ago, we were not taking supplements. Why do we need to take them now? Okay, so we don't need to. You need to start thinking and shifting your mind that if I start eating the right foods, my gut and my stomach will work in the way that they should. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah.
So another one, my dad is a cardiac patient and also suffering with various health issues. His diet surrounds with milk, roti, dal, and rice. He just don't want to change and switch to plant-based diet. If you see evolution, humans used to eat meat before they learned to cook. Then why is it there in the food pyramid?
Okay, so back when there were sort of cavemen and all of that stuff, right? There's a saying that we were hunter-gatherers. Okay, you may have heard of that saying. Okay, and actually we were not hunter-gatherers. We were gatherer-hunters. Okay, so our food was whole plant-based foods, and only in the time of famine, or where there was actually or drought, would they resort to trying to hunt an animal down. So the amount of meat that was consumed was very little, because it was very difficult to catch meat. And actually the human species started around the equator. Okay, and as the species evolved and as they multiplied, they started to move to the north and to the south, more and more to the north and more to the south. And if you look now, at the very north, you've got Eskimos, okay, and all they eat is fish, because you can't grow anything, right? In the solar caps, you can't grow anything at all there. So they eat lots of fish and seal meat and stuff like that, and they have the highest level of heart attacks, highest level of obesity, highest level of heart disease than any other humans around the world, right? So you can see that where the pattern is. Now, if I was starving and there was no food anywhere, no plant-based food, and I had to survive, I might just kill something and eat it if I needed to survive. That's survival. But if there's food all around, then there's no need to kill anything. And we're living in a day and age where you can walk into any shop, in any grocery, or grow something in your garden, plenty of food. So when people present this argument, well, the cavemen used to eat it, so why can't we do it? Well, actually, one, they didn't used to do it, only did it in time of desperate need. And two, we don't have to do what they did, because we live in an economy where we got everything available to us. So I would say with your father, if he's not willing to change, I mean, you can't force somebody to change, but I would say if you're cooking for him or you're doing something like that for him, start making a few changes here and there. And I'll give you a little tip, right? People who love dahi and love chas, right, and want to use that in kaddis and things like that, yeah? Okay. If you buy soya yogurt or any other plant-based yogurt, not dairy yogurt, right, You get like a tub, 500 ml it normally comes in. For every 500 ml, put that in a bowl, squeeze 1 lemon in there, okay? Put some salt in there and mix that up. It tastes exactly like dahi, cow's dahi. Then you can use that to then make chas. And in the chas, you put your dahi, then you can put some jeera in there and some whatever spices like some dana and all that stuff. Blend it up in the whiz, right? Okay, and you've got lovely chas. And then you can use that same chas to make kaddi. Okay, so you just have to learn a few tricks to make things that don't taste like the original to taste like the original. Because of course, peanut curd won't taste like cow's curd, or soya curd won't taste like cow's curd. But you can add a few things and do these things to make it taste like that. And that is the secret to getting people to change, because they don't want to change their palate. But if you can give them something that's healthy but tastes the same, they're not going to say no. And that's the key to it. Okay.
And also, I say that the disease that we all are suffering is called as affluenza. It's too much of everything.
Too much of everything. Absolutely. Really is too much of everything. We just got so much choice nowadays. We don't know what to do with ourselves, honestly. And ever since I've become vegan, you know, my mind has changed completely. You know, it cleans your whole system, cleans your mind. And I think much more about the environment, and I think much more about what the planet is that we have and how it's going to be left for our children. Because I've got 2 children, and I think about it all the time. And I think about the buying choices that I make, and my life has become simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler. Okay. And if you can start thinking on those simple terms and actually start thinking, what does your body actually need, right? What does it need in clothing? What does it need in heating? What does it need in nutrients? What do we actually need? And then life becomes very easy, honestly. Very, very simple.
Yeah, it's just there's too much of packaged food around, and there are too many. It's everything
Yeah,
for 2 or 5 seconds on your tongue, and
that's the
forever on
problem.
your hips. Then
Yeah, that's the problem. You know, also time is a big factor. People say, I don't have time to cook. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. You know, you guys in India are so lucky. Yeah? You got Kambara. I don't have Kambara here in London. So you can get your guys to do all the work for you. Yeah, and
that's
just
even
prepare.
worse for us, because then we don't even get up from our sofa.
True, don't get up from your sofa. But again, it's part of the habit changes. If you want to be fit, if you want to be healthy, if you want to honor this body is yours. One body you have. You're not going to get a second chance. Okay. If you want to honor this body, you've got to now start making the effort to eat right, do the right exercise. Nobody can do it for you. Okay. You can do all the webinars you like. You can do all the talks. You can do all the workshops. But until you make these changes, nothing is going to make a difference. So you have to start. And the first place to start is, what are you putting in your mouth? Because that is the ultimate control everybody has on this planet, is what do they put in their mouth? That is down to you, no one else.
So someone has just rightly said that if you control or know what you put into your mouth, you'll also have a better control on what comes out of your mouth.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. I like that one.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
So on Facebook, they are constantly writing various comments as they keep listening to every line.
Okay.
And I mean, absolutely, it's going very live, and they are
Okay.
writing away.
Wonderful.
And someone has, I'm writing to them that in case if they need to ask you anything, they can write here and I can read it up and tell you right away.
Yes,
So
that's fine.
it's amazing to see that they're all tuning in. And I think the most important part of this whole thing is that we are now gradually, our number is increasing. More and
Yeah.
more people are listening and paying attention and are definitely getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Wonderful.
transformation is initially when you switch over, they all wait on thinking that it's a fad. You'll
Yeah.
come out of it. You'll get over your all this,
Yeah.
excitement and everything. And then after some time, they relax and they say, okay, maybe something more. And
Yeah.
then months and years on, you don't go back to the same lifestyle again, and they stay paying attention. Hey, I
Yeah.
need to listen to you.
Yeah.
That's very good. In the
Fantastic.
Ahimsa festival that is going on, today is the 8th day, and
Mm.
we have a 18-day festival. So 10 more days still to go. And we
Mm.
have about 17 cooking demos. Half of them are over. They are overbooked. We have no place. Like each of the cooking demos are totally full.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, it's overbooked registration. We have film shows, we have potluck parties, and we have fitness talks, we have a track, and there's a cycling event that is coming up this Sunday. So
Yeah.
lots of things happening. So anyone who is not aware, go to our website. It's called theahinsafest.org. And this webinar is part of the Ahimsa festival. As I know they are staying far away. Ramesh is in London. There was a Dr. Tushar Mehta from Canada. So all these doctors from across the world, all these health experts, come and share their stories and put in the energy in our festival and make it very, very knowledgeable for all of us. Any more questions, anyone? Anyone on the Facebook? I will be waiting here for some more time and we'll take your questions. We still have some 20 minutes left and we can add up. So Ramesh, our Gujarati cuisine is a lot of sugar every day. We make even dal, which is little sweet, and they say Gujarati people are very sweet speaking, and they love sweets. Like, Ahmedabad is the second largest in the world for the diabetes now. Uh,
Yeah.
it's really growing at a very fast speed. People in Ahmedabad streets, they love all this fried stuff, and then
Wow.
they love all this sugary stuff. When they
Yeah.
get diabetes, usually they get advised that don't eat sugar, but no one
Yeah.
ever comes and tells them that don't eat that fried stuff.
Yeah. Nobody tells them that. You see,
Yeah.
the problem is that the diabetes is associated with sugar. Okay. And what people don't understand is high sugar levels is just a symptom of diabetes, but it's not diabetes. It's not diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, which is the most common diabetes, is really caused by insulin resistance. Okay. And the insulin resistance in our muscle cells is caused by excess fat, and a lot of that fat that comes from animal products and dairy. So these fats block our receptors and the insulin can't work correctly, and that means the cells can't absorb the sugar from the bloodstream into the cell. And what that means is the sugar remains in the blood and we get high sugar levels. So instead of dealing with the insulin sensitivity, they're taking tablets or injections to reduce their sugar, but not really dealing with the insulin resistance. But imagine we could make your cells insulin sensitive again, right? So they absorb the sugar. You don't have the symptoms anymore, right? Then there's no problem. So sugar isn't the problem. Now, that doesn't mean to say sugar is good for you. It's not good for you. It's very bad. There's a whole host of other reasons why sugar is really bad for you. But if you want to reverse your diabetes, you've got to look at your overall diet and you've got to cut the fat out of the diet. You've got to cut the fat out of the diet because the fats, the oils, and all of that stuff, and the dairy and the meat is what's clogging up your receptors and stopping the insulin from working, which is stopping the cells from absorbing the sugar into the cells. All right. And that's why you end up with type 2 diabetes. So, again, it's looking at the cause and not the symptom. We've got to work on the cause all the time.
Bhupesh Shah is asking a question on Facebook. Doing stairs up and down is better or morning walk is better?
Stairs is better, and because it's a little bit of resistance there. And one important thing about stairs is I've seen people going up and down stairs in India in those tall blocks, and sometimes you see people taking 2 steps rather than one step. Yeah, okay, because they feel it's more difficult, so they feel like they're exercising more. Now, actually, that's incorrect. It's better to do one little step than take big steps. Okay, so when you're doing stairs, just go up and down as often as you like, maybe 10 times, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, much better than walking. Walking is also good. But with the stairs, you're doing a bit of resistance work, which is really good for your muscle tone and helps to rebuild your muscles and helps to increase your insulin sensitivity, reduce your sugars. Very, very good. Any more questions?